complete his collection of Japanese theater costumes. These masks had last come up for sale in 1898 in Vienna, and he had then been outbid by a Romanov prince. Machiavelli had patiently bided his time. The masks would come back on the market again when the prince and his descendants died. Machiavelli knew he would still be around to buy them. It was one of the many advantages of being immortal. "Shall we start the bidding at 100,000 euro? Machiavelli looked up, caught the auctioneer's attention, and nodded. The auctioneer had been expecting his bid and nodded in return. "I am bid 100,000 euro by Monsieur Machiavelli, always one of this charity's most generous supporters and sponsors." A smattering of applause ran around the room, and several people turned to look at him and raise their glasses. Niccolo acknowledged them with a polite smile. "Do I have 110? The auctioneer asked. One of the private collectors raised his hand slightly. 120? The auctioneer looked back to Machiavelli, who immediately nodded. Within the next 3 minutes, a flurry of bids brought the price up to 250,000 euro. There were only 3 serious bidders left: Machiavelli, the American actor, and the Canadian. Machiavelli's thin lips twisted into a rare smile. His patience was about to be rewarded, and finally the masks would be his. Then the smile faded as he felt the cell phone in his back pocket buzz silently. For an instant he was tempted to ignore it. He'd given his staff strict instructions that he was not to be disturbed unless it was absolutely critical. He also knew they were so terrified of him that they would not phone unless it was an emergency. Reaching into his pocket, he pulled out the ultra-slim phone and glanced down. A picture of a sword pulsed gently on the large LCD screen. Machiavelli's smile vanished. In that second, he knew he was not going to be able to buy the kabuki masks this century. Turning on his heel, he strode out of the room and pressed the phone to his ear. Behind him, he could hear the auctioneer's hammer hit the lectern. "Sold for 260,000 euro. "I'm here," Machiavelli said, reverting to the Italian of his youth. The line crackled, and an English-accented voice responded in the same language, using a dialect that had not been heard in Europe for more than 400 years. "I need your help." The man on the other end of the line didn't identify himself, nor did he need to. Machiavelli knew it was the immortal magician and necromancer Dr. John Dee, one of the most powerful and dangerous men in the world. Niccolo Machiavelli strode out of the small hotel into the broad, cobbled square of the Place du Tertre and stopped to breathe in the chill night air. "What can I do for you?" he asked cautiously. He detested Dee and knew the feeling was mutual, but they both served the Dark Elders, and that meant they had been forced to work together down through the centuries. Machiavelli was also slightly envious that Dee was younger than he, and looked it. Machiavelli had been born in Florence in 1469, which made him 58 years older than the English magician. History recorded that he had died in the same year that Dee had been born, 1527. "Flamel is back in Paris." Machiavelli straightened. "When?" "Just now. He got there through a lay gate. I've no idea where it comes out. He's got Scatty with him." Machiavelli's lips curled into an ugly grimace. The last time he'd encountered the warrior, she'd pushed him through a door. It had been closed at the time, and he'd spent weeks picking splinters from his chest and shoulders. "There are 2 Humani children with him. Americans," Dee said, his voice echoing and fading on the transatlantic line. "Twins," he added. "Say again?" Machiavelli asked. "Twins," Dee added, "with pure gold and silver auras. You know what that means," he snapped. "Yes," Machiavelli muttered. It meant trouble. Then the tiniest of smiles curled his thin lips. It could also mean opportunity. Static crackled, and then Dee's voice continued. "The girl's powers were awakened by Hecate before the goddess and her shadow realm were destroyed." "Untrained, the girl is no threat," Machiavelli murmured, quickly assessing the situation. He took a breath and added, "Except perhaps to herself and those around her." "Flamel took the girl to Ojai. There the Witch of Endor instructed her in the magic of air." "No doubt you tried to stop them?" There was a hint of amusement in